Why does cybersecurity exist? Why does it exist at all? Today, I want to talk to you specifically about a little bit of background of why cybersecurity does exist and the concepts necessary to actually do what we need to do, which is protect our crypto. So hi everybody, my name is John and I am your crypto security advisor. So it seems very simple on the outset. We want to protect our crypto and we want to make sure that we are aware of what's going on. We want to have the technology in place and segregation of wallets, passwords, MFA, all of those things, right? However, let's take a few steps back. So when the internet started to come up in the 90s, early 2000s, we had all of this technology. And oftentimes you'd have this technology just rush it to market, and there was so many features and so many different updates to software and especially hardware, going from, let's say, 32 megabytes of RAM to 32 gigabytes. That whole stretch was just absolutely mind-blowing in my eyes anyways, just the amount of progress that's been made over the years. However, with that, certain things happened. For example, people discovered very early on that, hey, we can actually manipulate the system to do things that it couldn't do or wasn't intended to do. And so that's where your early hackers started coming in, where you have different viruses, different worms, little bugs here and there. You can send various email scams when email just started coming up, and especially with the IRC chats, scammers there as well. Hey, download this, or if you remember playing World of Warcraft, maybe you still do, and the old Alt F4 trick, right? Closes various things on Windows especially. And you get to realize that people are curious individuals. People want to break things. They want to experiment. They want to figure out ways to manipulate things to their better good, and just genuine curiosity at the end of the day. And I find this, I also have this very curious mind, and I'm always trying to figure out answers to various problems that I have, as well as looking at technology and it's like, okay, what is the limitation? How far can I push this thing? Even with my own legacy equipment, I have 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old various devices, and it's like, hey, I wonder if I did this. What happens if I do that? And maybe I use it, maybe I don't. And it's been very interesting to experiment, and a lot of people have been doing this. So if you look at companies and organizations, you have small businesses, right? They just want to get the job done. They want to have the infrastructure necessary to get the job done. No more, no less. They don't have a budget for anything else, quite frankly. So cybersecurity is not even existing in that environment. You look at slightly bigger organizations, okay, now we should probably start having more processes and procedures to mature our organization. We have 20 or 30 different individuals, and all the individuals have to play nicely. At some capacity, we need some sort of standard, framework, guidelines to abide by. So there's that. Cybersecurity, okay, we should start looking into making sure our passwords are secure, looking into implementing MFA, and making sure we have secure overall website browsing habits or internet browsing habits. And that's usually as far as you'd go. However, if you look at massive organizations, 10, 20,000, 100,000 people, cybersecurity is at the forefront because A, they have a lot of resources, but B, they have to protect a lot of infrastructure. And so how do you protect all of this infrastructure? How much money do you spend on protecting the infrastructure? Now, this is where you get into a very interesting topic, which is you never want to spend more money on security than is necessary. Because if you are spending more money than is necessary on security, it means you are actually wasting your money. That money could be better spent elsewhere in other departments. And so it's always going to be a trade-off within organizations. So there's a slight caveat to this with government and military organizations, or even, let's say, Microsoft, for example, where they have Microsoft Azure or the cloud environments. They want to make sure that they're spending more money than is necessary to adequately protect that environment because they have other revenue streams coming in. But It's so important to do this. So for example, if you spend, let's say 5% of the annual budget, let's say the annual budget's $1 million, just for the sake of argument, you spend 5% of that budget, what's that, $50,000? $50,000 on cybersecurity can go a long ways. You buy your firewalls, you buy your licenses for your cloud infrastructure, you pay a full-time employee to do all of that for you. However, if you're bringing in, let's say, $1 billion a year, okay, that's a lot of money coming in, right? Spending 5%, that's now $5 million. Yeah, $5 million. However, $5 million within your organization, and depending on where your revenue streams are and what your purpose of your business is, might not be enough. So for example, in a government organization, you most likely want to spend a lot more to protect that infrastructure because there's a lot more at stake. It's not necessarily just the financial reasons, but it's also the reputation. There's all these different types of risks that you have to analyze. And especially if you're looking into the financial industry, you want to make sure your reputation is sound. You want people to have the ability to trust you with their own personal finances, their livelihoods, the money that they have made and sacrificed. They want to make sure that they can trust you in all of that. And so more or less, you'll do a high-level risk assessment and determine how much money you're willing to spend on cybersecurity. And that is where we come to you and me. How much are we bringing in income? How much is our portfolio worth? And how much should we spend within that portfolio? How much should we spend on security? Now we can look at this on 2 or 3 different fronts. The first front, which is free, which is education, making sure that you are cyber aware on various topics and various things that come up. For example, what constitutes a strong password? What constitutes cybersecurity awareness and overall healthy governance of how you interact with technology? On the flip side, you could also spend money. So you can buy a firewall, for example. You could buy anti-malware services or products. You can spend the additional money on brand new hardware or separate hardware for your various cryptocurrency wallets. So you can use a Trezor, for example, a hardware wallet, or you can buy a separate personal PC specifically for your cryptocurrency, for managing that portfolio. However, we can also go on the other side, which is how much effort are you willing to put in? How much time do you have available to you? Because a lot of us have online accounts, but do we really know if they're all secured? Do we know that they all have strong passwords, strong unique passwords, passwords that are never reused, passwords that have been reset over the last year? Making sure that MFA is enabled on all the accounts that we can. That doesn't necessarily take money, but it does take a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort. So you want to kind of look at it as how much resources do I have available to me, and how much should I be using of that resource pool to protect my asset, which is crypto. So I would look at this as 2 or 3 different tiers. If you have $1,000 or less, excuse me, in crypto, then I'd suggest, okay, just look at passwords here and there and enable MFA where possible. However, if you have $10,000, okay, I would go above and beyond, probably buy a hardware wallet and start considering how better to secure your technology around you. However, if you're dealing with 6 figures, 7 figures, I would recommend going to the utmost degree to protect that. Because once you get within the 6-figure range, you can actually do a lot with that amount of money in this day and age. There's a lot of power, there's a lot of leverage that you have with, let's say, $100,000 at your disposal. You can do a lot with that. And so you want to make sure that you adequately protect it so you don't screw up or an attacker doesn't gain access to that crypto. So if I were to do any recommendations, I'd say choose a percentage. For example, 5% of your portfolio value, spend it on a hardware wallet or further securing your cryptocurrency. If you're very if you're a bit more technical, I'd up that to maybe 10%. 10% might allow for a simple firewall that you can install if you're more technically inclined. If, however, you have a 6 or 7 figure portfolio, and I'd probably spend quite a lot of time and money to secure that. And you also want to look at it not necessarily, okay, you have 10% of your portfolio, let's say you have $1 million. Well, that is $100,000. So you're not going to spend necessarily $100,000 protecting your portfolio, but time is money. So let's say you bill out at, I don't know, if you're a consultant, $100 an hour. So you bill out, your time is worth $100 an hour. And so it's going to probably take you 20, 30, maybe of a full-time week of 40 hours to secure all your accounts. Well, 40 hours times 100 is what? I'm not great at math. I'm a music major. So you can do the math and you can figure it out. And you can use that as a guideline to figure out how best to secure your crypto. And it's all based on risk. There's so many different layers to risk that I might get into just a whole different other video on how to manage risk appropriate to your crypto portfolio. So anyways, that was quite a bit of a longer video, but I wanted to stress the fact that this is very important. Pick a percentage of your portfolio value at this current moment and figure out what you want to spend on cybersecurity, securing that asset that you have obtained. So anyways, I hope this was useful, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.